My name is Christian Puckett. This is Peacekeeper.
So much to catch up on.
Oh my goodness, let's just get right into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, hi everybody. This is the podcast you already know.
You already know. The notoriety.
Ryan Wilson.
Hello.
Live in the studio.
Yeah, I like the studio a lot.
Should I turn off the heater?
No, I feel great. Shorts weather, man. Mid-60s, March.
Oh my goodness.
Top half,
the weather
cozy,
is great
bottom
today.
half takes care of itself.
Yeah. Taking off the shoes for the podcast, huh?
Yeah. I don't want to stomp.
Oh, sure.
Softer.
Just shows how comfortable you are in this environment.
Yeah, I walked right in. Didn't ring the doorbell. But
Sure
also
did.
ringing the doorbell of a house that has kids.
Right. That's risky because
Don't do
you
it.
might be disturbing a nap.
Our doorbell doesn't work at my house.
Did you disable it?
No.
It just doesn't work. You don't want to fix it.
No.
Yeah.
I just thought it was like a fruitless venture.
Yeah.
I don't need a doorbell.
Yeah. People can knock.
Yeah.
It works great.
People can walk in. I don't care.
What's up? How are you?
I'm good.
I haven't seen you in a long time.
Yeah. Last time we chatted was when I called you. It was,
Oh, we did chat on the phone for a while. Yeah.
yeah. I was thinking about my old pal, Christian.
Yeah.
See how you were doing? You were doing great.
I seemed to be doing well at that time. Yeah. That was in the middle of my parental leave.
At that time? Not anymore?
Well, I'm just back at work now.
Oh, yeah, I
you
know.
know.
Yeah. Oh, you started yesterday, right? I think because I saw Emily last week and she said you were starting on Sunday. The Lord's Day.
Yeah. My dad invited me to church that day. I was like, oh, sorry, I'm going back to work.
Where would you rather be? Work or church?
Work or church? That's a good question. Probably work.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Dude, it was so weird being back there. It was literally like I never left. Just right back to it.
That's just the retail life.
Oh my gosh. It just never ends.
Just, it's always the same and you're just always replaceable.
Oh my goodness. So replaceable. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's relentless. The grocery industry.
yeah.
I don't know how much we want to delve into whole food stuff.
Sure don't.
I mean, that's
Could last the whole podcast.
It
It would make for a
honestly
really
could.
toxic podcast.
no, it's tough because that's so much of our lives and we have so much connection over that. But also at the same time, it's like we can also connect at level as friends, as human beings, as fathers, as people living in New Mexico. We have a lot of other similarities besides, I mean, look at us both drinking our coffee.
Two white guys drinking coffee. So much in common.
Maybe that'll be the title of the podcast.
It could be.
Could be.
I know you only be back for a day, and it's obviously nice to just have vacation and enjoy your new baby, but like, are you a guy that just would rather work? Or could you be the stay-at-home dad?
That's a good question.
I couldn't.
You couldn't be the
Short answer
dad.
if we can expand on that, but I want to hear
Sure,
it
I
from your
like how
perspective.
you ask and then you answer for yourself. First,
Yeah.
you kind of slotted that in real
I'm not
quick.
elaborating, but yeah, I'm just like,
You were still tossing it to me.
yeah,
Interjected, but then you ultimately
it's my
gave it to
nature.
me.
Yeah.
See, that's why you're a good supervisor on the front end.
Yeah, just all the chat.
I could do it if I had to, obviously, but I think now that I'm getting back into the rhythm of working, I think it's good for me to get up early and get up early at a consistent time, probably go to bed at a consistent time. Just the structure of, okay, getting to work at 5 a.m. every single day, or not every day, but 5 days a week. And then that kind of bleeds into my days off. So I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning and got some work done. So I think just entering this next chapter of it was incredible having almost 2 months off.
Yeah.
But also it was kind of a roller coaster just mentally for me because it was just my schedule was upended. And so now that I'm getting back into it, I think I just need to level out again.
Yeah. But it's time off, but really it's like
Time on.
yeah, because you're readjusting because you've really settled into this time with having one kid, and then you've just like, added a body, added a nap schedule, added a mouth to feed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a lot.
Shout out to our wives.
Shout out to the wives. Emily, when she came in, she was just thriving.
Yeah. She does great.
Yeah.
I mean,
just
she
Ira
seems
just
like
wrapped up.
Yeah.
He was chilling. She's chilling. Smile on her face.
she's a trooper. She's a good sport. Nothing but love for Emily.
I would hope so.
No, she's great. I mean, she has agreed to take the kids out for a couple hours on Monday morning so that I can record. And then, I mean, just besides that, she's watching the kids for almost 9 hours.
Yeah.
I guess I'm getting up super early. So, I mean, at least until I get home at around 2:00.
Does the house get up when you get up, or does no one really service?
No, I think everybody starts to emerge around 6 to 7, and I'm going to be getting up at 4.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you're back.
It's good to be back.
I'll be glad to see you.
Yeah. Yeah. It seemed like people were relatively pleased to see me, which is a good feeling.
Yeah, I'm sure they were.
Yeah. I hope to bring back a positive spirit with me. It's up to me, right, to create the team and the environment that I want to work in.
Yeah.
Because if I don't, it'll slide into something that is not pleasant.
Yeah.
Rather old school, if I will.
Right.
Whole Foods.
It's
the
classic.
It's the grind.
It's the grind.
Yeah, but I mean, all things considered, it's not bad.
Yeah. But how's life with two boys?
The two boys' life.
Aesop and Ira. Pals?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Aesop will like pretend to hold him, which is really sweet, even though
he just like sits and you like put him on his lap. Yeah.
Plop him on top and he thinks that he's being helpful.
Yeah.
But he's always there during diaper changes to supervise. He's a good little kid. Sometimes, I mean, so Ira is for sure more fussy than Aesop. And we're learning with Ira how much of a golden god Aesop was.
Yeah.
Aesop was the dream child. He was so just calm and chill and happy and just happy to go along with the ride, pleasant baby, barely fussed. Ira is a big crier.
Yeah.
But I get it. I mean,
yeah,
we all could use a cry every once in a while.
Sure.
But also he's born peak winter. I mean, that would be a bummer, right? You're cold. You emerge from this warm environment into this cold, windy desert.
Yeah. I don't know. I just feel like infancy is just so bizarre because it's just like, here's this unstable thing that you've got to keep alive until they can eat normal food. And a lot of that's obviously on Emily unless she's pumping. I don't know what the situation with that is with you guys, but
yeah, she's breastfeeding.
Yeah. So it's just like, if they cry, they cry. If they don't, great.
Yeah.
If they sleep through the night, amazing.
Yeah.
If not, just got to suck it up until they finally decide to do it.
Yeah.
And then they'll probably regress.
Yeah. And what's great with Ira is that he's an excellent eater. And he's gaining weight way faster than Aesop. So it's not it doesn't seem like he's, uncomfortable or trying to communicate to us that something's wrong. It just seems like he's stretching his vocal, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But he's gaining weight. He's a big old boy.
Yeah.
He's losing his hair. He has a bunch of acne. I feel bad for the guy.
Yeah.
Aesop was just like, love the kid. And during this time off that I had, Aesop and I really bonded.
Yeah.
Because I kind of just, he was just my buddy.
You got to, yeah.
You know, I woke him up, I got him dressed, changed his diaper, made him breakfast. We would go on a walk. I'd put him down for a nap. I'd put him down for bed. And Emily was kind of just on Ira duty.
Yeah. Does she miss Aesop? Or did she?
Well, there was a point where anytime Aesop would start freaking out or crying or voicing his frustration, it would kind of grind Emily's ear.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt the same way with Ira, whereas anytime Ira started fussing, I could listen to Aesop cry all day.
Mm-hmm.
But when the newborn was doing it, I was like, I don't understand why you're fussing.
Yeah.
You have everything you need.
Yeah.
So we kind of, I could kind of tune into Aesop's cries and Emily could tune into Ira's cries. But now that Emily's on full-time double baby duty,
Yeah.
she says that Aesop does better when it appears that he does better when it's just one of us watching him.
Mm.
I don't know.
I feel that sometimes. Sometimes when Courtney and I are doing bedtime and we're both in the room, I just remove myself from the room because it just gets a little chaotic.
Yeah.
Get a little snippy with each other when things like, she has one idea about how to put her down, I have another.
Ooh. Yeah.
So I'm just saying I'm going to remove myself from this space. Give Courtney the reins. Much calmer.
Are you a good dad?
I think I'm a good dad, yeah. Love my kids.
Yeah.
The kids are pretty sick right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you didn't tell me that when you showed up. You could be transmitting your kid's sickness to me right now.
No.
I spaced this about 8 feet apart, so I think
it's
we're
perfect.
good.
No, there's just something going on.
No, I get that. Yeah, kids are always sick.
Yeah. And it's just like when they do, it just like, so we're like we're probably like 10 days in, maybe a little more.
10 days into the sickness?
Yeah,
Wow.
Lara's pretty much in the clear. But Aster got it worse. Courtney took her to the doctor actually, like 5-6 days ago.
Mm.
And they were like, yeah, she's got a virus. It's going around right now.
Yeah.
We were like, great.
It's winter.
Yeah. But she's just been so sad.
Yeah.
And so like just napping so much. And then she'll just like wake up in the night and she'll just be like, I want juice. So we're just like giving her Pedialyte like over and over just to like keep her hydrated. But like it's really nice because
they sleep more.
Snuggles.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I feel like I'll get to hold the girls every now and then, but they're old enough now that they don't really want to be like held and
yeah.
But Aster just like wants to be held right now and it's great. And then the other day, like she was like, I said to her, do you want to go in the crib or do you want to nap with daddy? And she was like, nap with daddy. And I was like, yes.
That's a good feeling.
This is so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they just have so much energy usually that it's impossible to sit down and watch an entire movie or lay on the couch for a while or take a nap together.
Yeah.
But only when they're sick is when their energy is just completely depleted. So you're just like, all right, you know what? We're kicking it back today.
Yeah. And I love playing and running around with them, but like snuggles.
Every once in a while.
So fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You a big snuggler?
Oh, yeah. With the girls? Oh, absolutely.
With select people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Courtney and I will snuggle, but like then it's like, hey, I want to go to sleep. Get over there.
Sure.
Good night.
You have a queen bed or a king bed?
Queen.
Yeah,
Kings
same.
are too big.
I mean, our room would not fit a king, but long-term goals, I would love to have a king.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Just
That'd
to
be
like
so
have all
nice.
your space?
I mean, it's not like I don't have enough space, but it would kind of be nice to be able to sprawl a little bit more than I'm allotted on a queen. You don't have to.
I'm like, how hard are you trying to sprawl?
I don't know.
How much space do you
Yeah. That was
California king?
That was one of the questions I had for you was, are you a king or a queen bed type of guy?
I mean, if there was a king there, sure, but if Courtney and I are going to actively go and purchase a bed, which we probably wouldn't need to for a long time, queen.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm relatively familiar with your life story. I think, maybe to my knowledge, maybe I'm not. But
yeah,
I'm
we talked about it on
wondering
another podcast that one time.
what could you possibly be talking about?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
I don't know.
This is my first time ever having you on a podcast.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm joking. No, we had Levi and I had
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Wilson on
Yeah.
Stamina podcast.
It was a lot of fun.
It was like a year ago, maybe a little bit
Maybe
less
more
than
than
that.
Maybe. Oh yeah.
Well, because we started it in February
Oh sure.
and we went a decent stretch. I think you were maybe around 10 or 15 or something like that. So it was probably less than a year ago.
Long podcast.
Yeah, that was one of the longest podcasts we did
Yeah.
until the end there. But this is a whole new audience of my family and select random people.
Your family didn't listen to the Stamina podcast?
I think that, no, they did.
Mm.
I don't know if they listened to your episode.
Oh.
That's a whole other thing. They would mainly tune in for just the boys episodes.
Sure. Sure.
No, I actually don't know. But for anybody curious, if you could summarize your life in 5 to 10 sentences, how would you describe it?
Sure. Born and raised in Northern Ireland.
Okay, that's one sentence. I'm just kidding.
Well, I was gonna. What about commas? You know,
Okay.
I was just back in Ireland 2 weeks ago.
Why? I know why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My grandmother passed away, so we went back real quick for that, which was so good. Sad circumstance,
Sure.
but just like going back. She died on a Sunday. Booked the tickets that day. Flew out on Monday.
Wow.
Yeah, flew out the next day. Because I feel like I haven't been to that many funerals here, which is a good thing.
Sure.
But I don't really remember how they work, like what the time frame is. Because like she died on Sunday, we buried her on Thursday, so the funeral turnaround's pretty quick. So I wanted to get there as soon as I could.
Yeah.
So flew out on Monday, arrived on Tuesday because you lose a day when you fly that way. Spent a lot of time in Bangor, which is where my mum is from and where all her family lives, essentially close to Belfast, from like Tuesday through Thursday, funeral being on Thursday. Did a lot of stuff related to those days, and then Friday through Sunday, just got to chill,
Yeah.
go on walks. Woke up in the mornings, there's just like this fog, really pretty. Courtney doesn't really like to go walk too much here because you've got to like go somewhere to walk really in Albuquerque. Like neighborhood walks are fine, but like,
yeah, I understand.
whereas back at home, we can just walk out the door and you're just surrounded by fields and it's just really pretty and green. So
Did you go by yourself or did the whole family
no,
go?
Courtney came. We left the girls.
Okay.
They stayed with Courtney's parents, which was good because it would have just been so hectic.
Oh, I could only imagine.
Yeah, we're going to take them in the summer, but I just didn't want there to be any like distractions from the focal point for which we were there, which was for me to be there for my mum. But yeah, Courtney and I just got a lot of good time together, which we don't just get to do things the two of us that often. And then Courtney does really, she loves obviously the kids, but she just can breathe so much more when the kids aren't there.
Oh, yeah.
So she was just like really just herself at ease.
Like before kids came.
Yeah.
Like how it was before.
Yeah, because
Kids.
when we're home with the kids, she's just like got the kids on her mind, worried about them, got that motherly demeanor, obviously. But when we were there, she was just able to sit on the couch, drink her tea, go on walks, just really just be.
Yeah.
We only talked to the kids like one time. I think they FaceTimed us because Courtney was like, I just want to like be separated and not be like really involved so they don't get sad. Because like I think we got on FaceTime and then like 2 seconds later Aster was just like, Mommy, feed me. And Courtney got really sad because she was worried that she would like her supply would dry up.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
From across the planet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So she didn't dry up because she actually took like a pump to keep the supply flowing.
Sure. Can't stop that train.
Yeah, because it will just dry up. But yeah, it was just so refreshing. We saw some friends just over those like 3 days. Went to the northern coastline, got in the ocean. Some of our friends have kids now, which is really fun.
Mm.
So got to see one of my best friends growing up, this guy Michael. He had a kid, little Frankie. Got to hold him, and then he was snuggling, which is so nice. Yeah, so it was just really refreshing just to like go back home.
Yeah. Were you close with your grandma?
Oh yeah, Dewey. Oh yeah.
You were? Okay.
Oh yeah. Dewey was great.
Did that affect you pretty good? Losing a grandparent?
Last grandparent.
Really?
Yeah. No more.
Dang.
Courtney's dad's dad is still around, but
Okay.
yeah. Yeah, and it was funny because I felt like I didn't cry once when I was in Ireland. Not that I was trying to be this like pillar of strength for my mum, but also I just kind of was. And I felt like I did a lot of grieving before I left.
Before you left Ireland?
Before I left here to go back to Ireland.
Oh, okay.
Because she was in hospital. Like,
out of your system.
Yeah, it was like on my radar that it was going to happen. Even at work, one of the ladies that we work with, she'd be like, you just seem so sad, baby. And I was like, yeah, but don't talk about it. But I feel like I was like showing that a lot, and I wasn't trying to, but yeah, it was just on my mind a lot. It was really sad. Did a lot of crying. I think my mum called me and told me that she was like terminal on a Thursday. And then obviously that Sunday, like 3 days after she passed away. So in between that time, I just was like really burdened by that then. Got a lot out of my system then, and then went to Ireland. Was pretty, just with a lot of clarity.
Yeah.
Sad, obviously, but going there just on a mission just to like hold my mum.
Yeah.
Let her feel what she needed to feel. Because her and her siblings, they're Hendersons. And the Hendersons, they're like farming families, so they're just like busy. So they just like drown all of their emotions in busyness. So like as soon as I got there, they were like trying to fix me lunch. Like, can I get you a cup of tea? Like everyone's getting tea for each other. No one can sit down and just like allow themselves to feel the sadness. And then we went into the church on the Wednesday before the funeral. And then they were like playing some music that they were going to play like as we were exiting the church. And then my mom like started like getting emotional. And then her sister walked past her and she was like, you stop that now. Like said it to her.
Dang.
Not like angrily, but just like in a loving sort of way that they would. But it was just like
don't show any emotion.
Yeah. So it's just like a picture of that they just like wouldn't let themselves feel that. So
interesting.
Yeah. And I man, it just like actually birthed a really good conversation for Courtney and I about just like what I perceive to be like resilience. Because I just have seen these like mother figures, women in my life, just like bury their emotions. So that's to me what resilience is, just like being able to get on with it. So Courtney and I actually had a really good conversation about like her own resilience and how that's different to what my picture of resilience is, and how I'm trying to learn to be more warm to that.
So what is Courtney's type of
Courtney feels all of her emotions.
Okay.
She allows herself to be sad about situations that are more like anxiety and other stuff like that would get her down.
Yeah.
And that's just different to what I grew up with. Courtney and I have been together for a long time now, obviously, so I'm really used to that. But it's just interesting when she gets to see me in that environment and see those ladies, and we like eye roll about the fact that they just don't let themselves feel anything. But sometimes I see that as strength. Right. Even though I would scold my mum and be like, you can feel sad. Your mum just died.
Yeah.
That's fine.
So like, do you think if you started to tear up or allow yourself to wear your heart on your sleeve a little bit, that would be potentially perceived as a sign of weakness?
I wouldn't really care about perceptions. I would just feel it in myself, just being like, yeah, stop.
But what's wrong with showing emotion?
Oh, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not like, I wouldn't be worried about what people think. Like if people see me cry, that's fine. But I'm more just like, if I start to cry, I'm just like, you're fine.
Yeah.
just get on with it.
So you're not a big crier?
No.
No. When's the last time you cried?
I mean, I think during that weekend.
When you heard the news that you're probably not going to be able to say goodbye to your grandma.
Yeah. Well, we had talked to her. It was just so like, even prior to that, I would like call my mom, and then she was just exhausted. She was so exhausted. So she would like cry to me on the phone. And that would make me sad because I wanted to be there for her. So then like I would hang up. I would not let her see me cry because I just wanted her to like not worry about me. I wanted her to just be able to feel everything that she was feeling. So I would get off the phone, cry to myself. But then also like at home, I just wouldn't want like the girls to see me crying about it. Not because I don't want to see them to see me cry, but just because I don't want to have to like explain death.
Yeah,
to like
that's
my 3 and 1 year old, you know?
Yeah.
It was weird because like, so we talked to Dewey. I talked to her on Thursday when Mom told me she was terminal. Then we called her on Saturday, the day before she died, so that like the kids could say goodbye to her essentially. And then when I was prefacing like the call to Lara and Aster, I was like, hey, like Aster doesn't really get it too much, obviously, but Lara's more comprehensive of what's happening. Mm-hmm. I was like, hey, Lara, so Dewey's really sick. So I just want you to like be really like present when you're talking to her rather than like being distracted by TV, by toys, whatever. Yeah. So
has she met her before?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. She knows exactly who she is. And then she's FaceTimed her so many times over the years as she's been alive. So I just wanted her to be really intentional. And she really was. It was really nice. But I think even after the fact, she didn't get it. So when we got back from Ireland, my mum had given us just this candle from Dewey's house that had like bunnies on it. So my mum was like, I just think this would be really nice to give to the girls. So we got back, gave Lara the candle. I don't think Courtney was in the room at the time when I gave it to her. But then Courtney came in and she was like, Mommy, look, Dewey got me this candle.
Oh.
And I was like, that's so sweet. And then I wanted to call my mum and just like see how she would react to that as well. And it was just really cute. So I don't think they know that Dewey's not around anymore. But I don't necessarily think they'd be like really sad to like go back to Ireland and be like, where's Dewey? And we'll be like, she's not around anymore.
Yeah.
So
yeah, when my mom's parents died, they died relatively close together. I think they're in their later 80s, and this was maybe 10 years ago. But at the time, I didn't think anything of it. I was just going to a funeral. Oh yeah. I mean, I was close with my grandparents, but it didn't really faze me that they're gone and that I won't have access to talking to them anymore or just like stuff like that. And so I have one grandparent left.
Yeah.
Shout out to Nana.
Yeah.
Lives up in San Ysidro with my parents, my dad's mom. But yeah, I mean, even when Emily's mom passed away, yeah, I feel like it took me about a week to let it all out. And it was like a delayed response of me showing my emotion.
Yeah.
Because I felt something similar of just, I kind of have to the best of my ability and to the best way I know how, be a pillar or show some strength when everybody else around me is feeling so heavily and the emotions are so intense. And so I tried my best to just keep things going along. But it took just like this random something minuscule where that kind of like tipped me over the edge, and then I just started bawling because it was just such a heavy week. And then once I started crying, I would cry like every day for a few days.
Oh,
like
wow.
It kind of opened up the floodgates, if you will.
Yeah.
But then at the funeral, I feel like typically my crying cycles go, I have just this, it's like building up over time. And then I have this big cry.
Yeah.
Tears. it lasts for maybe 10, 15 minutes or something, but then it like goes away, and from there I mostly got it out of my system, and then we'll have little peaks here and there, but it's typically builds up to one big let me get it all out.
Yeah.
But that was probably the last time I like really cried.
Yeah.
I don't tend to be a big crier. Every once in a while I'll tear up, but as far as bawling,
I'll cry at movies every now and then. I used to not do that, but movies are getting me nowadays.
Really?
Yeah. Just the actors. I'm just like really involved.
Oh, we're not going to talk about that.
No,
Just
sorry.
kidding.
Life
No, we
story.
can talk about that.
Segued.
Oh yeah, so you're from Ireland.
You want me to talk about that part or the crying at
Whatever.
movies?
You can go wherever you want. I don't care.
I don't remember the last movie that I cried at, maybe.
Moonlight?
I watched Moonlight ages ago. I can't even remember my experience of watching it now. Did you watch it recently?
No, but I just remember crying at that movie.
I don't know if I cried at Banshees. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
Banshees of Inisherin?
Is that a newer?
Yeah, Irish movie.
Mm-mm.
You don't like the Irish?
Not a big fan,
Why am I
honestly.
I think I might have cried at that. And then there's this Norwegian movie I saw at the Guild called The Worst Person in the World. It got me. Just performances were just so good.
Yeah.
I don't know where that movie is now. I don't know where to watch it, but I'd highly recommend. Even the way it was, cinematography is great, and the way it's like broken up. It's like into like chapters, essentially, like book. It's like 12 chapters in the movie itself.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. But yeah, other than that, not a huge crier. It takes like big things. Like, and like, even when you spoke about grief a second ago, like saying that your response is delayed, I feel like I have the same sort of, and there's no real trigger for it. But when it happens, it just like happens.
Yeah.
And then even Courtney, like I grew up with Dewey. Like, it's like my grandmother. Courtney had a lot of interactions with her, obviously, but the time was much shorter. But Courtney was like really emotional about it. And I feel like it was weird because my singular focus was to be with my mom, not like allowing myself to feel those things or even like being supportive to Courtney, because Courtney obviously needs to grieve my grandmother. It was weird.
Yeah.
Just, you've got to share yourself to so many people in that situation. But also, it's like, funerals are also so goofy. And
What do you mean by that?
Just so like me and so Dewey's kids, my mom and her two sisters and one brother, were in like the receiving line as people walked in the church, and then me, and then like a lot of my male cousins. So like it was my mom and her siblings, and then me, and my dad, and then two of my cousins, and then my brother. So there's just this whole slew of people who are walking in, like all these old people
assembly line.
going down this line, and they'll be like shaking my hand, like, sorry for your loss. Who are you? Like, I'd be like, oh, I'm Carol's son. And then they move on to my dad, and he'd be like, oh, I'm Carol's husband. And then they move on to the next guy, like, oh, you must be like Carol's other son. And they're like, no, he's down there. And it was just like this whole cluster of just like,
giving their condolences to people they think or they know are associated somehow, but not really sure exactly.
People who I think I've seen before, but I like vaguely remember them. And they're offering condolences. So it was really funny actually telling Courtney and all the other people just about like how goofy the receiving line was, how much of a mess it was. And then I was like sneezing because like allergies, and then, you know, sneezing and then shaking hands. Old people are still a bit funny about stuff. So like there's this like sanitizer thing behind me, and it was just a mess. But it was also really cool and kind of a picture of times now that it's like I came back from America. My uncle currently lives in Montserrat, which is in the Caribbean. Another one of my cousins is in Dubai.
Oh, okay.
So like people are just like scattered all over the world, but they're coming back for this like singular thing, which I find really beautiful. Dewey didn't actually die until, so like my mom and her sisters were there the whole time because they live in Northern Ireland, and then my uncle came back from Montserrat, got there, went straight to the hospital, like 2 hours before she passed away. So like she saw him and then she died essentially, which I find really, really beautiful, because it's like she wasn't ready to go until she saw all the people she needed to see.
But not you.
Not me, no.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Well, I thought about going back before the fact, but I'm like, I'm not going to go and then like she doesn't die.
Right.
And then I'm like not there for the funeral. I guess it would have been weird.
Yeah.
So I figured I would just wait until I heard the word.
I mean, that's what Emily's sister did for Ira's birth, was that she came way too early and then Ira didn't end up coming. So she just went back to Nashville and totally missed the birth.
Right. Yeah. So it's, yeah. And it could have worked out differently, obviously. But yeah, I just feel like it's so different to what it would be, what would have been, like 50 years ago. Because I feel like Dewey's husband, my grandfather, he was like just like enamored by Courtney when he first met her. Courtney came in and she's like American.
Yeah.
And he was like,
whoa,
blown away by her.
Really?
Oh yeah. He just thought she was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen in his whole entire life. Courtney still says to this day that he's like paid her the greatest compliment that she's ever received, because he was like, she would look good in a bin bag. He just said that in his
bin bag?
Trash bag.
Okay.
Like if she wore that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So like,
that's fine.
And then when he first met her, like he was going on about like John Wayne and how he loved John Wayne. And then he went upstairs. He's an old man at this time, so he was pretty decrepit, but he went upstairs, came downstairs with this like watch that is like apparently his most prized possession. First time he met Courtney, he wanted to show it to her. I said, Papa, I didn't even know you liked John Wayne. I've known him my whole life and he never mentioned it. He meets Courtney one time and he's telling her all about it, showing her it.
Yeah.
So he just like really took a shine to her. And I feel like Mum, we had this conversation just about how in his time it would have been so crazy to have been like with like a foreigner.
Yeah.
So exotic, because everyone's just very like growing up as a farmer in Northern Ireland, like in the 50s or 60s, you just are expected, or it's pretty much expected that you would marry a Northern Irish girl.
Yeah. Or stay in your relative vicinity.
Yeah. Stay within your community, essentially. So then to just see all of these people come back from all of these places, because the world is just so small now.
Yeah.
It just seems so easy. But everyone comes back for this singular thing to celebrate Dewey's life, and I find that really fun.
Well, that actually kind of connects to a question I actually have on here.
Oh, yeah?
If I may.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you're from Northern Ireland.
Yeah, you can say Ireland.
Okay, you're from Ireland.
Yeah.
And I feel that same way about this small community of Albuquerque and of living in New Mexico. And every once in a while, whenever a foreigner enters the picture, it's always just so interesting, because it's like, why of all places on this very small and very large planet would you choose to end up in New Mexico? And I know I'll just let you say the story.
Getting back to my life story.
I'm going to have to edit that.
Oh, that was good. Oh, sorry.
Okay, good. It was
you don't
productive.
have a cough button? I would have pressed it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding. No, so I did all of my growing up in Ballymena, my hometown. And then college, went to London, got a journalism degree. Not using that.
Sure, not at Whole Foods.
Huh? No interest at all. Did it because that's what they told me I should do.
Yeah.
And then Courtney was studying abroad my first year, and then she was doing anthropology, and then we got together, and then she came back here, and we did long distance. And then we both graduated. And then when we did graduate, I obviously finished in London, really loved London, didn't really see myself going back to Ireland. She loved London too, but we didn't know what we wanted to do. And it's just a very expensive place to live if you're just going to kind of freeball it.
Yeah.
So we decided that we'd live here, getting married, because Courtney's from here. So 2014, I moved my life from London to here. And I've been here ever since. And we don't really have an interest in going anywhere else. I don't really see myself living anywhere else in America, really.
Why is that? Why?
I don't see a point.
Have you done other exploring and traveling within America? I mean, I'm sure you
Yeah.
have a little
Yeah,
bit.
we essentially go up to Durango pretty much every year. Courtney and I have taken a trip to like Utah. I've been to Phoenix a lot. I've been to LA.
Pretty Southwest focused.
Well, yeah, and then we've been to Maryland, where a lot of Courtney's mum's family's from. She was in North Carolina actually just a little bit before we went to Ireland. And it's really nice up there. I don't see a point in leaving.
Because of the roots you have here, because of the connections, the family ties.
Yeah, in some ways that, but also it's just like the family support is really good for kids. I wouldn't really change that for the world. But also I don't know, the only real, because I would maybe move to LA for like the acting, but also when I went to LA, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's just really dirty.
Very dirty.
And it's like, I really love London and like New York and that style of like city, like a metropolis, but I feel like LA is so different because it's probably more populated, I would say, than New York. Maybe I'm wrong. But it's just like a different environment. I feel like it's similar to that of Albuquerque in terms of landscape, apart from the ocean obviously being there. But
right.
Yeah, it just didn't really do it for me when I was there. I mean, I was in Beverly Hills and I was like at a film festival and doing the whole movie thing, and it was just really crowded. I don't mind crowds, but when people are like in your face, like trying to like give you their mixtape and trying to perform for you and do all this kind of stuff, just trying to make it in LA, that's cool. But I'm just like, I don't want to be berated as I'm walking down the street.
Right. And raising kids is a whole other story.
Yeah.
And to be in one of the nicer and cleaner areas in LA, you probably have to be making much more money than at least I'm making.
Probably have to drop like $750,000 for something probably this size. Maybe smaller than what you guys ran.
I think way more than that.
Way more?
I think so.
I mean, I've never looked, but
I guess I haven't looked in a while, but I think last time I checked, just a very regular standard house was like $1 million or something absolutely ridiculous. Obviously that's very location dependent, but the last time I was in LA, it kind of I was so just kind of confused because the air quality and the pollution and I guess, just how much like trash there was and the conditions of living. Like we were in a nicer area, but also there's like nicer areas next to not so nice areas. And, but it was just like, how do y'all live in this? It's crazy. But I left that trip, and this was like maybe a year ago, just with no desire to ever. I mean, I'll visit, but I have no desire to live there. If I did, I also understand that there are appealing aspects of living in California, like the weather, and so I would maybe consider moving to California, but it would probably have to be a more obscure, smaller city, not like a big San Francisco or LA.
I don't know. I'm just totally content wherever I am. If Courtney decided one day, hey, let's up and move to somewhere, I'm sure I would be totally fine. It doesn't really matter to me where I am, but I've also got no desire to be anywhere else. If that makes sense. I feel like people get like discontented and will just move. Sometimes people will be like, I hate Albuquerque, I've got to get out of here. Which, I mean, it's fine, but I don't feel that way at all. I love Albuquerque.
So from an outsider's perspective on New Mexico, what are some appealing aspects? What are some benefits or pros about living here?
It's just really beautiful here. The mountain's pretty. The climate's pretty nice. I'm a guy who likes to ride a bike. It's pretty bike friendly.
Yeah.
I guess we haven't done the schooling yet for my kids, so I have no knowledge of that really because Courtney went to a private school. So I don't know how that would look and how pleased I would be come time when the kids are in school.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the spots. I like the community that I've built for us, essentially. Yeah, it's more so just about the people who are here. And I love the people.
Do you think there's something unique about the people in New Mexico versus other places in the U.S., or do you think people are relatively the same everywhere and you kind of just find people that you connect with?
Yeah, it just depends on who you connect with. I feel like the community that I have in Ireland as opposed to the community I have here, I feel like they would probably both mesh pretty well.
Yeah.
Just people who are kind of my speed.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend of mine who lives in Spain, and he was saying that one thing that he noticed from moving from America to Spain was how there most definitely is an American hustle, an American drive, an American work ethic that is maybe not so present in Europe. Maybe it's a little bit more relaxed and people care about having time off and it's not so work and like grind focused. Have you experienced that at all?
I feel like...
Or do you see that?
Oh, sorry. I feel like I see... Maybe I just haven't spent enough time there and worked enough. Like when I was in Ireland, I worked when I was in London, but I don't know, maybe like the demeanor of like the workforce in America is a bit more like tired.
Just eye roll.
Yeah, because I feel like everyone's just like, it seems like everyone just has to work so hard just to live in America.
Yeah.
So everyone's just like weary. And you see that at least in customer service, retail sort of environments. But also I feel like at least where I'm from, the expectation of the customer is really high.
Is that an American thing, do you think?
I don't know. Maybe there's just like so many options. Maybe the retail space in America is just so much bigger.
Yeah.
There's a lot more corporations, so people are like bogged down by working for like the corporations.
The man.
Yeah. The man sucks.
Yeah, because it's all about the bottom dollar here. It's all
Yeah.
about profits. And so one way to ensure that you're not leaking any profits is to make sure you're enacting policies to where the customer always feels accommodated, always feels listened to, always feels right.
Yeah.
And employees must adhere to those policies or else
Yeah.
let's get the next one in.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I've also just been here long enough that it's just been very normalized for me, the environment that I live in.
How long have you been in New Mexico?
2023. So I moved here July 2014.
Oh, okay. That's a little bit longer than I thought.
Yeah. Coming up on 10 years next year.
Dang.
Yeah. Courtney and I would like to move back to London at some point when the kids are like in school. So there would be no worries about like childcare. They would just be in school. Just because we really loved it there. And it's not even like a thing of there's things to do because there's so much to do in London, but there's also so much to do here. You just have to find stuff to do. Just find stuff that you like, and it's there. People are always like, "Oh, there's no scene in Albuquerque." It's like, well, what scene are you looking for? Go find it.
And if it's not here, then create it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of people here.
Right. People have said to me that like the music scene in like Austin is like humongous, and you come here and there's like no nightlife, and I'm like, but there is. I feel like I have friends who like will post stories and they'll be at like, I don't know what the place is, Berkeley House. I don't know, but I feel like I always see people posting like at live music events. Seems like there's always stuff happening.
Well,
maybe it just depends on the genre you're looking for. I don't know. I don't know of any like jazz bars in Albuquerque, I guess.
No, I would actually probably agree that other cities have better scenes.
Sure.
I think not that New Mexico doesn't have scenes. I just think it's about 10 to 15 years behind other cities. And it's not to say that there can't be a comedy scene here or a music scene here or a nightlife scene here. But I think we just have a few more years of, I guess, and when you're comparing it to other cities, it looks a little flimsy here. But that's not stopping people from creating that here. I mean, there's just as much, I don't know, maybe not just as much, but there's plenty of opportunity here to make it what you want to be, right? Make the city a place you want it to be.
I feel like I said that on the Stamina podcast as well, where I was like, in like a decade, this city I'm sure will be like really popping.
Yeah.
Because of all the stuff that's happening. Film stuff.
Right.
Obviously more pertaining to what I'm involved in, but.
Right. As long as the economy can continually grow here with, the film industry and businesses moving to Albuquerque and I mean, just New Mexico at large, then it can be, and that's not to say that it's not right now, but it could be even more prosperous.
Well, I mean, like, because where's Facebook? Is Facebook not in like Los Lunas or something like that?
Los Lunas, yeah.
And then Amazon's got that huge facility.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's Intel, there's the labs, UNM is a big employer.
Yeah.
There are businesses that hire lots of people here, but it will involve continual growth in the economy here.
Yeah.
And one way to contribute to that is to stay here and participate in that. Yeah. And that's kind of where my dilemma is do I bail? Do I jump ship and move somewhere where the economy is already booming? Or do I try to create it here where I do have roots, I do have connections, I do have property, right? So it would be in my best interest to improve the overall. Not to say that I have so much that much power, because I'm such a small blip in New Mexico. But I mean, I think little bits add up, and the stronger the economy is in New Mexico, we all benefit. Right?
Yeah. And that's what we were talking about before we got on the podcast. That's why I'm like, if we were to buy another house, like renting our house at this time in Albuquerque would be great. Yeah. Because I just feel like there would be tenants galore. People flocking to get a house.
That's okay. So that's Emily and I's. We've been having a lot of conversations, since we've had all this time off together. Good conversations, but also kind of, what do we do? Where do we go from here? What is this next season? What does this next chapter of our life look like? And we were kind of flirting with the idea of moving. But then we were just looking at it logistically. Okay, what does that look like?
Within the city or out of the city?
Out of the city.
Oh, out of the city. Out of the state?
Out of the state. Yeah, we were talking about moving to Nashville.
Sure.
Moving to Tennessee. Just because my sister was talking about wanting to move back there, and Emily's sister lives out there, and we do have connections and friends and potential reasons to move out there. But we were just looking at it practically, stepping back, observing our restlessness, and we have decided, okay, that's a good long-term plan, but at least, I guess our overall goal is, before we think about moving anywhere, we should pay off this house.
Sure.
And I think that would be a wise decision, because then once this house is paid off, we have so much more flexibility and freedom to go try out different places. And if it doesn't work, we just come back here.
Yeah.
And we could just rent this house out. Yeah. Looking at this Zillow estimate, this is as central Albuquerque as it gets. And we could rent it out to somebody. And if we did it furnished, we could make even more Airbnb. There's a bunch of options.
Yeah.
But if we could just sprint and strive towards paying this house off as fast as possible, and once Emily goes back to work, that'll be a lot more.
Oh, she's
feasible.
going to.
Yeah. Once Ira's in preschool, once both kids are in school, then Emily's going to work towards becoming a teacher. or
cool.
I'm sorry, a librarian at a school.
I applied to be a librarian not too long ago.
How'd that work out?
Didn't get it.
Why is that?
I also didn't pursue it really.
Yeah.
All I did was submit my resume, but then I actually came into contact with someone who was a librarian and had a lot of contacts, and she was like, hey, here's this number, call this person.
Oh.
And I never did.
You didn't call?
No.
Okay, so you weren't that serious about it.
Well, I was, just because, like, I don't know. I just like Whole Foods, you know?
Sure.
But also, for my situation, I should stay in retail.
Because
it's much easier to be like, hey, like the other day I did a callback at Whole Foods.
Oh, for acting.
Yeah,
okay.
I had an audition,
Sure.
and then I got a callback, and then I did it at Whole Foods because I was just like, hey, you guys good if I have this appointment at this time? You guys good if I go do it? Like, yeah.
Yeah. There is flexibility.
Yeah, there's flexibility just to like dip. Like, hey, I'm not going to be at work tomorrow.
Hey, I'm going to go to Ireland for a week.
Hey, I'm going to go to Ireland for a week.
How'd they feel about that?
I just used sick PTO.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't utilized that. How do you do that?
So I went and talked to like the HR person, and she was like, oh, you can like take a leave of absence, like that 30-day absence. Apparently you get to use that every year. So I was like, oh no, I'm probably going to use that in summer because we're going to go out to Ireland in summer for like a month.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what else could I do? She was like, well, you just use your sick PTO then, because you get like 60 hours or something out of sick PTO per year.
So that's a new New Mexico policy. Is that true?
So it's weird because you actually end up using your personal PTO, but it's designated a different way so that you can just like on the drop of a dime just go.
Okay.
So like, you know, the way you put in PTO for like time coming up, but like
Sure.
if you just have to be gone like unexpectedly, you can just use your sick PTO.
Okay.
But it's taken from the same pool.
Okay.
Which is dumb because I'm like, so I'm not really using sick PTO. I'm actually using my own PTO.
But you could just use it immediately without any consequences.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I just used that. Apparently I didn't use it correctly, so I still got one absence, which is really funny.
But you're allowed to have, I mean...
Yeah, you're allowed to have absences.
Yeah,
whereas like
in retail.
Yeah, whereas like in a city job, like a librarian, you can't just like be like, hey, I'm not going to come to work tomorrow because I'm going to be on a movie set.
Right. At the end of the day, it's relatively low stakes at the grocery store.
Exactly. But also you can still, I think when I looked at like what a librarian makes versus what I make now, I actually make more now than I would make as a librarian.
Yeah, I've been scrolling through Indeed, just getting their weekly or almost daily emails of just
me
all
too.
the jobs posting in Albuquerque. And I guess with my credentials and my qualifications, it's like I don't have a bachelor's degree. And in order for me to, I feel, reach the next threshold of making more income, you kind of have to have a bachelor's degree. But for having an associate's degree and looking at all the other jobs and how much they're paying, it's like, yeah, I'm making probably more money in this position than I would starting off at other like jobs that start you off at bottom pay. But like you were saying earlier, for the work that I do and for the flexibility I have, it's not a bad spot to be in.
Yeah, and I think when I applied for the a librarian position, I had to have a degree. It was like minimum requirements, bachelor's. So I met all the requirements, but I just didn't have it in, and it's just
didn't want to give that phone call.
No, I still have it. I'm pretty sure I still have the number to call if I want to, but I just
it's there when you need it.
Yeah. Not to say that I would get it if I called this person, but I feel like my chances would be pretty high given what I heard. But
you're a charismatic person.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about
I can get away with things. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also like another reason why I didn't pursue it is just because it's so hard to motivate myself to care for a job that's not being an actor. Yeah. I've gone through periods of just like obviously hating Whole Foods, and then seeking employment elsewhere. But it's so hard to, again, motivate myself to look for employment elsewhere when it's just not what I'm interested in at all. And I would maybe do like crew work and stuff like that, but also it's just like, that's sporadic and it's not consistent. Whereas right now I've got a family.
Yeah.
having a job with benefits is good. So
I've also heard that shit's hard to do. Like, it's a grind to be a crew member or working on a set.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's probably not as glamorous as it is in my head, but there is like the attractive aspect of having a consistent paycheck and having a consistent, for me, schedule. And like, yeah, benefits for me, healthcare, and like 30% off my groceries, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, I'm not in any sort of, I desire to look for other jobs, and I probably will always keep that feed.
Oh yeah.
Keep my eye out for it. But I'm not like trying to get out as fast as possible.
Right.
When the time comes, honestly, talking about trying to put all my effort and momentum into one thing. That's what I'm trying to do with this podcast. I'm not going to lie. I'm trying very hard to be consistent and to work hard at this, to make this lucrative, to where at some point in the future, this could just be my sole thing.
Yeah. Hiding that podcast behind a paywall.
That was me experimenting, but rest assured, everything is free right now, and it's available on Spotify, and there's no paywalls.
Right.
But at one point in the future, there might just be a Patreon or hey, if you subscribe for like $1 a month, then you can listen to it ad free. If not, you can still listen to it, but there's just going to be ads that are very easy to skip. It's possible. There's a lot of tools out there for creators, whether that's on YouTube or Anchor or Spotify, Patreon. There's a whole host of creative ways to make money. The hard part is creating a successful podcast with an audience. Like building that is what I'm focusing on right now. Yeah. And so that's what you're a part of right now. Yeah. It's me trying to get out there.
Got any glamorous guests coming up?
Glamorous is probably not the right word, but I have guests that I'm excited about.
Yeah.
But I'm still in this season of trial and error.
Yeah.
And testing things out. And so I'm not trying to like reach out to serious, harder to obtain guests, because I kind of still need to iron out all the wrinkles.
Yeah.
So I'm still just having people that are close to me that I care about, that I genuinely want to have conversations with. My brother-in-law Hudson is going to be next week. I have a friend, Justin, who's after him. A friend, James, that I need to schedule. But then I'm going to have my brother, Josh, on again. And then I feel like once I do this for a season of having people that are relatively close to me on, then I'll start kind of reaching out to people that maybe I feel like are a little bit above me, but they can see my portfolio, see my process. I mean, I'll have a system in place. It'll look legitimate.
This is pretty nice.
What do you think?
For like just an environment to walk into and just be comfortable sitting and just have a chat.
How's that chair?
It's great. I actually really like these chairs a lot.
Yeah? It's not too uncomfortable?
No.
How the headphones?
Who just told you that this chair is uncomfortable?
No,
is this your own anxiety?
No. Oh, well, maybe a little bit, but this one's just a little higher up, and that one's a little lower to the ground. And I just want people to be comfortable in the chair, you know?
I mean, I'm really settled in this chair.
Chilling?
Oh, yeah. Chilling.
Yeah.
I could sit up, but...
Feel free to,
Oh, no, I don't need to. Good. I feel great.
Okay, I won't bother you.
But I'm also like, who are the big people in New... Like, the only person that comes to mind right off the bat for recency bias is, Jon Jones.
I didn't watch... What happened with him recently?
It's crazy.
What happened?
Just like 3-year hiatus. Didn't fight for 3 years. Came back in. Fought for the heavyweight title. Smoked the guy.
Smoked
him.
I saw that he finished him recently.
Finished him in 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's good.
Just like rocked up heavyweight title. It's mine.
Dude, he's
the greatest.
He's an Albuquerque icon, huh?
Well, I want to think of who's got a bigger platform than him in the city.
Holly Holmes?
I don't know.
Is it Home or Holmes? Home. Okay.
I feel like Jon Jones is. Well,
he's because
she's born and raised here, I guess, but
he's just fighting out of Albuquerque.
Well, this is where he lives now. But I think I don't know if he's from New York or what it is, but I know that he's been in Albuquerque for like a lot, like pretty much the majority, if not all of his like UFC career. He's been based out of here. So this is just where he lives now. He's got he talked about it after the fact. He's got this thing called the Care Project, where they do just a lot of like community outreach stuff in Albuquerque, which is really cool.
That's cool that he's investing into New Mexico.
Yeah, I know that he's done like gift drives and stuff like that for Christmas. Yeah, I don't know what other like charitable organizations are working locally. But it's cool that having that platform, that's what he's doing. I
would feel so insecure having him.
He'd be pretty big in this chair. Maybe this chair would be too small for him.
I'll upgrade for him.
Yeah. Definitely needs a king size. That guy definitely needs a king size bed.
King size chair.
Yeah.
That's the goal. That's the long-term goal.
Mm-hmm.
That's years off. Sure. I don't plan on having, I guess, national or global.
You could get the governor in this chair, no?
No.
Oh, yeah.
But what about in 10 years?
Yeah.
Think about this. If I was consistent.
You'll be in Nashville.
No, I'll be here. Maybe I won't. I'll be here. No, I'm going to be here. I will be here because New Mexico will always be my home base. And I do have the ability to talk to anybody anywhere on the planet. Yeah. Because I could just do virtual. Mm-hmm. But I do plan on making New Mexico my home base. Mm-hmm. But if I had the discipline to set up a system to where I can record one podcast a week, what would that look like in 5 years? What would that look like in 10 years?
I don't know how that looks. How do you like optimize what you've already got? I feel like what you've got is good.
I think if I strive to at least by 1% try to make each episode better than the last, every new episode better than the one before it, constantly be learning and refining and course correcting too, because obviously I'm not just going to be talking about video games for 10 years.
Sure.
But it's nice because I have the comfort of working with cameras, working with audio, getting into this new space of working on a podcast. And then it's just like challenging enough to keep it interesting, especially if I'm always striving to put myself in conversations that are a little bit uncomfortable for me. I think this is a good practice for me. And I believe that if I can do this once a week within reason for like 3 to 5 to 7 to 10 years, I'll look back and be very thankful that I started this when I did. Because obviously I'm not trying to have a perfect podcast 17 episodes in. That comes... I mean, there's podcasts out there that have 1,700 episodes. Like, look at Joe Rogan. How long has he been doing this? He's been doing this for 15 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, there's hundreds of podcasters that are on the thousands of episodes, but I'm sure they're not too concerned about their 18th episode or whatever.
Sure. But also, I feel like if you get to that point and then obviously his level of notoriety, I wonder... maybe it's just so normal that it seems pretty lax when he does it. But I wonder if there's that like scrutiny on himself where it's like, this episode has to be perfect. Like, are we doing this right? I just think the open dialogue environment is just pure and good, welcoming to a conversation. And if people want to listen, great.
Yeah. I'll probably edit that part out if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I try not to manipulate this to the best of my ability. Sometimes I have to, but
if people cough,
maybe I'll put a cough button over there.
you can put a cough button over there. That's optimizing the system if I ever heard it.
Sure, 1%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to talk about?
No, I feel like those are like the recent things. Obviously, the trip to Ireland was the most recent thing that I really did. And then just work,
Yeah.
acting, trying to get there.
Yeah, how's that going?
It's good. I mean, this is like, I've had more auditions recently, and that's like, this is the time frame in which it starts. Like this time last year, probably more towards the end of March is when it started really ramping up in terms of the auditions that I was doing.
Okay.
Because all the shows are like trying to like shoot in like spring, mid-spring, summer. So they're doing all of their casting like at this time. So
would you say that the New Mexico film industry is thriving?
I would say so, yeah. And I thought that, I mean, everything took a hit during COVID, and I wondered how that would look here, but, and I don't know what, like, because I don't know if Paramount has a stage out with all the other ones, Albuquerque Studios, but I know that they're building. I know that they're coming here, like the bigger studios.
Really?
So,
I mean, all I know is Netflix and NBC.
yeah.
But are there others?
I'd swear I heard something about Paramount coming as well, but I could be completely blowing smoke. But yeah, the whole time that I've been here, it's just been like steady.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like the majority of the auditions are being cast by like, there's only like 2 or 3 casting directors that I'm really auditioning with like a lot. But then I've talked to those people because they like will come to Whole Foods and they're like, yeah, we're pretty much getting all the work. And like it's being shared because off the top of my head, I'm thinking there's like 5, maybe 6 like primary casting directors that I can think of. But I'm only really auditioning for 2 of them currently, but they like seem to be like holding on to like most of the bigger content that's coming, which is fine. I mean, if they're getting the work, then I'm happy to be auditioning for just them, but I also know the rest of them, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, nice to have those connections.
Yeah.
I think we maybe talked about this a little bit on the last podcast we did, but as far as what people are looking for or what casting directors are looking for, do you think that's more American type roles, or do you think the fact that you're an Irishman has anything to do with that?
No, it's before the end of last year, there was this show that I was auditioning for. I did like 3 separate auditions, and 2 of them were for Irish roles specifically.
Oh, okay.
Which was really, I mean, I didn't get them, which is tragic, but it was fun to actually just do that, audition my own accent. But I feel like the past maybe 2 or 3 auditions that I've got recently, I think I just did my own accent. Kind of. So far, this most recent one that I did, it was just like 1 line and a lot of just like motion, like after the fact. So reactions, kind of improvising, but the one actually spoken line, I just said it in my accent because it was just something like, all right, here you go. Like
that sounded American to me.
Yeah, I don't really need to like do anything different to make that sound different.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fun. I don't mind. I would love, one of the reasons as well that it's appealing to move back to London, because we love it there, but also I'd love to see what the scene is like there. And if like being Northern Irish would be easier.
Yeah.
Or if they would have me audition like English roles. Because it seems like, for the most part, if I watch like BBC shows, people are just doing their accents. You don't need it. Because like you could just be a Northern Irishman living in London. They don't need to you don't need to necessarily change your accent just because you're in a certain place.
I feel like even with a lot of the new Netflix stuff that's coming out, a lot of it is from, it seems like one studio or one company out in, I don't know where it is exactly, but there's like a lot of British productions popping up on Netflix over here with like a similar cast and rotating, like the people that did Black Mirror and like that whole, like I see those same actors in a bunch of the new Netflix stuff that's popping up. But yeah, maybe there's not as much of a market to produce that stuff in New Mexico. I'm just spitballing. I don't know. I'm just wondering.
Maybe.
But that means you're probably pretty good at an American.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I've gotten roles over Americans, so
yeah.
I'm like, I mean, if I watch myself back, I'm just like my biggest critic in terms of how I sound, because I just feel like I hear maybe the mistakes that I think that I make that maybe other people wouldn't notice, but because I know how I sound.
Yeah.
And for the most part, when I've done things and people see me after the fact, they're like, "Oh, I didn't know you were Irish." I'm like, "Good."
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. With this podcast, I'm not exact same way. I'm just so critical after the fact of listening back.
You listen to the whole thing?
Well, I have to in the editing process.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
To switch back and forth between the cameras. And sometimes if there's a big lull, or if I have to get up and turn off the heater, or if we need a bathroom break, I'll have to go find that and stuff. So, and I'll catch glimpses of me fumbling or flailing, and I'm just like, "Oh, you idiot, you sound so stupid." But I'm learning to overcome that. That's been the biggest hurdle, is just like the self-conscious aspect of like overcoming.
How many episodes have you done with guests so far?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're the 6th. Full steam ahead though on the guests. Yeah.
Well, I feel like you would be much more critical of yourself when it's just you.
Yeah. Yes.
Are there a lot of podcasts out there where it's just one person, just like monologuing?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, one of the biggest I feel like is Theo Vaughn.
He's a solo.
He's a comedian. Well, actually,
I know he is. Yeah.
He started off mostly solo. I kind of hopped on his page a while back, and it looks like now he has a bunch of guests on. But when he initially started, it was just him. I think he was just hitting record. And then there's sometimes 30 seconds would go by, just dead air. And you're checking your phone. And you're like, what is it? Is it still playing? Oh, okay. He's just thinking or processing.
Yeah.
But people really resonated with him. And so many people, I mean, that's just one example, but there was a lot of podcasts of, I guess, mostly comedians, at least the ones that I was focusing on. But then there's this other genre of single person podcasts, somebody like Andrew Huberman, whereas his podcast is very much produced and scripted, and he's been preparing for this all week, and then he's recording it and then editing it and manipulating it and stuff. So it is a pretty common practice to do a podcast by yourself. But one thing I was saying last week is that I'm kind of hitting a wall with the solo episodes. I think there's only so much I can say. And I think just having somebody else keeps the energy up a little bit more.
Yeah.
And not to say I'll never do, I'll do solo podcasts in the future again. But I think for right now, I need to focus on having guests on.
I think, obviously, I think guests are maybe more, it's more interesting when there's like two voices, I think. But
yeah.
I mean, even for your current situation, I feel like it would be cool to like be at work, be back into that life, and then just like recap how it's been for you on like a solo podcast. But also that could be like you just chat about that one thing for like 10 minutes and then you're done. And then you're like, oh,
There's somebody else here.
Yeah, it's been 10 minutes and there's no one else to talk to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, maybe I just need to shorten them because I was trying to stretch them out for close to 45 minutes to an hour.
Sure.
But
I don't feel like I could do it.
Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to know what you want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you hit the 15, 20-minute mark and you're like, oh, shit. But I can even tell just based off my analytics, that's about people's retention rate. It's for the long form podcasts, it's about 15 minutes.
Oh, really?
Average.
With the solo ones?
I think just in general.
In general, sure.
Yeah. And again, that's not across the board for all podcasts. That's probably just my very specific audience right now.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly trying to figure out how to extend that a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think having guests on actually does extend that a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But then whenever I'm posting the short form content, like the shorts and the reels and the 60 seconds or less type of videos, the retention rate is about 19 seconds on average.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So if I post, that's why you want to try to aim as close to 20 seconds as possible, because then you're getting 100% retention rate, as opposed to if you post a 40-second clip, you're only getting 50%.
Yeah. And it just, it's all just audience based as well. Because I feel like I really don't listen to that many podcasts at all. Like I'll tune in to Joe Rogan's podcast, not the whole thing, but like if he posts clips, like just short ones, I'll mostly just like listen to the ones where he's like got a fighter on.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the stuff he does, I'm just really not interested in.
Yeah.
But when he has fighters on, which I'm pretty interested in MMA, when he has them on, it's just really captivating. Especially if they're like, I love when they talk about their process, and I love all of like I watched all the build up to this most recent fight card with Jon Jones on it, and just like watching the athletes like process of like getting ready, like what fight week looks like, as opposed to like fight camp, how much training they're doing, they're tapering off. Because like I'm not a high performance athlete by any means, but when I did the marathon, like I somewhat followed like a training regime where I was like running a lot, and then like the last 2 weeks I like tapered off, and then I can't imagine what that would look like as a professional athlete in that space where you're like tapering off, but also you're doing all this media in the build up to promote what you're about to do. A
lot of other aspects.
And Jon Jones even did his own, like he created his own meet and greet that he did during fight week, and I'm like, that's crazy. On top of like all your other media obligations, you're like adding this thing that's just taken away from your time when you should be dialed in for this really serious thing where you're going to go get punched in the face. It's so crazy. Like, I have so much respect for those fighters because it's just such high risk.
Yeah.
But he's so good.
Yeah, he crushes it. Do you have any desire? Is it just interesting to you to watch from afar, or does that like inspire you?
Well, it just depends on who you talk to. Like I'll mess with Courtney's mom because Courtney's mom's just not interested in fighting at all. And I'll be like, did you catch that fight of the weekend? She'll be like, oh yeah. Just because there's obviously that majority group, which is just like, oh, it's all blood and guts, and it's just barbaric, all that sort of stuff. But I feel like, especially with Jon Jones, who I feel like over his MMA career has taken so little damage.
Yeah.
And is just like so technical with how he fights. It's just so interesting.
Yeah, it's an art form.
Yeah, because it's not like... Because there are those fighters who are literally just like bar fight kind of like tough guy. They'll go in there and they're just like there for a slugfest, which is entertaining, but it's fun to watch. But then when you watch someone like Jon Jones fight, and it's just like so creative and so systematic, and everything is like measured, but there's also like, there's discipline, but there's also creativity within that discipline. So he's like staying safe, but he's also like prodding in so many different environments.
Yeah.
And it's just so interesting to watch. That's why, like, don't get me wrong, like I love it when like a good slugfest comes on and you're just like up and you're cheering, you're just like captivated by what's happening. But when you're watching someone just at such a high level compete, you're just like, good grief, like how the heck is he doing this, he or she? Because they're
right. Like, I like watching the girls fight just as much as the guys.
Well, because Valentina Shevchenko just fought this weekend as well. She lost her title, which was crazy because she's been such a dominant champion, but also like she's like such a high level martial artist as well, where it's just like it's just a pleasure to get to watch these people who are so gifted do what they do. And I know what primarily what they're doing is like trying to separate this other person from consciousness, but also it's like there's so many different ways to do that.
Yeah.
And it's also very controlled.
Have you ever thought about doing any sort of, or have you ever done any sort of MMA or jiu-jitsu?
I've wanted to train, and there's people who come in from like the Gracie Barra gyms all the time, and they're also just like, come on over.
Seriously, yeah.
Every time they're like, come on over, and they're like, yeah, just come in for a week.
Yeah.
And then if you like it, great. You can come and you can stay, and we can talk about memberships, but just try it out for a week.
Yeah.
And it's very much just that space where it's like they will let you come for a week, pretty much, I think, free of charge. I don't know if there's like a gym fee for that, but that's seemingly what they're saying is like, come and try it for a week. If you don't like it, then don't come back. But also, if you do like it, let's talk.
Yeah,
I think it's important.
Invited to a handful.
Yeah,
like people have, maybe not people that, or just people that are attending. It's just, hey, yeah, you should come. There's a very welcoming environment.
Yeah, they're so excited.
And I've thought about it many times, and I want to.
Yeah,
I really do want to at some point, and I will at some point. Right now, not right now.
Well, also just like the longevity of, especially jiu-jitsu. Like I've seen people who are like in their 50s, 60s who are just like, oh yeah, jiu-jitsu is great.
Yeah.
Great for my flexibility. Like people say that jiu-jitsu is not actually a great like real world like defensive like situation. Like if you get into a fight, jiu-jitsu is not really going to help you too much, which I don't really know if that's true, but that's at least what I've been hearing from people who actually do it. But just a great way to stay active.
Yeah.
And it's like people can do yoga when they're older, but also it seems like people are doing jiu-jitsu when they're older, and they're enjoying it just as much, and they're having just as much like invigoration as they would feel as if they're doing yoga. I don't know.
Yeah. I've been watching a few random Russell Brand videos, and he started when he was 40.
Yeah.
And has now worked his way up to a purple belt. I know people like Anthony Bourdain started in their like later 50s or something like that and got black belts and stuff. So it's cool that there's not, you don't have to do it when you're at your theoretical peak of,
well, I think like Wiz Khalifa
got
like really in, like, I don't know if he just does jiu-jitsu, but like he was, as far as I remember, just like watching him, like when he first started emerging, he was like just this like skinny little guy, and now he's like fully like friggin' shredded, and he's like really just like into MMA. I don't even know how old he is.
I was thinking like about, I don't know how old he is now, but like maybe that's something I can do with the boys once they're, you know, young teenagers or something, that we could do father and sons jiu-jitsu together or something, where it's like we're all beginners, all three of us, but is there a place that would welcome fathers and sons simultaneously?
Yeah,
we could
probably, depending on the level you get to.
Yeah.
But also, like, even if they don't compete, like, you might not even want your kid to compete in like a combat sport in that way. But like, I grew up playing rugby. Yeah. And I, thank God, like, didn't get badly injured ever.
Wrecked, yeah.
I only know, like, growing up schoolboy rugby, I only know like a few guys who got like pretty badly hurt, and then a handful of concussions here and there. But like, if you just grew up and your kids are just doing like jiu-jitsu or something like that, I feel like the risk is pretty low because you're not trying to break someone's arm or snap their neck or something like that. Yeah. But like, it's all about submission. I feel like people tap really early in jiu-jitsu, especially when they're competing. Yeah. So it's very controlled, and I feel like you can maybe like tear something, but that's just if your body just, it's usually like self-inflicted, I would assume. Yeah. Rather than the actual person
testing your limits.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it'd be fun.
Well, in theory, Emily is going to be back in 2 minutes. So I wanted to quickly do these last two segments. Yeah. If you'd humor me. Yeah. Okay. Segment 1 called Lows and Highs. What was the lowest part of your week? And then what was the highest part of your week?
This week?
Yeah, this last week.
I guess the girl's being sick. It just really takes an emotional toll on Courtney, which is really sad because then like all my girls are sad.
And then do you get sad when your girls are sad?
I just kind of get on with it. Like Henderson's, you know,
Sure.
I just get on with it. Yeah, I just kind of go on with what's going on. I just
as you
roll
must.
with the punches. Yeah. But yeah, it's sad to watch my kids be sick and sad, and then that in turn makes my wife sad because she's their mother. She's most affected by that. Hi.
Yeah.
Getting a callback is always fun. Doing the callback's good. I was really excited about these fights this weekend, and they were just as captivating as I thought they would be.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's always fun.
Yeah. When things really meet your expectations, if not exceed.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then last segment, I'm trying to add value to these podcasts for people that, I mean, people don't want to listen to anything that they're not going to potentially obtain or learn something or enrich themselves.
Sure.
So I like to end the podcast with a way for the listeners and the audience to level up.
Mm-hmm.
So what is one or two practices that you implement on a daily or weekly basis that you believe have helped you promote your own well-being or cause like balance to your life? What is something that you implement regularly that you could maybe inspire others to adopt?
I'm a big proprietor of exercise. So prior to going to Northern Ireland, and obviously the weather's been bad, I hadn't been riding my bike as much. But this week I did ride my bike to work a few times, and it's just great.
Yeah.
I'm not encouraging, like, if people want to cycle to work, great, do that, please. But more so just about, like, getting outside.
Yeah.
Exercising, breathing. Went for a few walks with the girls as well, like getting people out of the house. Just get out of the house. And then for me, I just really like that. Obviously, the cycling is fun, but also, like, sitting down with some time to myself, decompressing. For me, decompressing can just be like sitting on my phone, giving myself a little bit of time just to zone out.
Yeah.
Being a father, being a parent, that's really important. And you should give yourself space to do that.
Yeah.
Playing my PlayStation. Still playing God of War, haven't finished it yet.
Dang.
Yeah. Limited time. For me, those things are important. Just like exercising, just because I felt just like, wow, after having not really exercised for a while. So I just think it's important. It makes me feel better. But then also just like sitting down and just zoning out for a while.
Yeah.
Spending time with the kids is obviously so fun. And if you have kids, spend time with them.
Yeah.
Even if they're sick, they still will be overly active.
We both said as we're not spending time with our kids.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all right. Okay, cool. That's about it. Yeah, I think we're good. Do you feel good?
I feel great.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have a camera on you right now.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Does it
That's
hurt?
okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Let's be
I
honest.
don't have to have the cameras on me all the time.
Most of my audience has not made it this far, so.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for joining me.
Always.
This was good.
Always.
The conversation always flows.
Yeah.
So well.
Yeah.
You're a great conversationalist.
Thank you.
And I applaud you.
Thank you.
Not many people, I think, are as skilled. Maybe that journalism degree served you well after all.
I felt nothing from that journalism degree.
I think
But thank you.
It contributed
The
to
communication
your
degree.
overall,
Yeah.
you know, you're a well-balanced person.
Yeah.
Okay, and thank you all for listening, and thank yous for listening. Much love, and
Much peace.
that's it. The end.